Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Stream's holding up nicely. That's good to see. What's up, everybody? We're going to start in a couple of minutes. We're going to pop open all three of these things. I'm excited to talk about these cards. These cards are amazing, and I've been holding back on talking about them because they are so amazing that I just want to pour it all out there at one time. Let's do it pretty soon. Drinks chilling, popcorn popping. Man, I want some popcorn now. But then again, if I ate popcorn while I opened these boxes, then all the cards would just get all gross. That would be depressing. We gotta make some teams out of this stuff. There's a couple of cards in here that are immediately going into a sleeve and onto a team. We gotta get that rolling. All right, all right, all right. Time or not, I think it's time to do this thing. It's like on my side of things, it says it's like 2 minutes till. But you know what? 2 minutes is 2 minutes. I say we just do this thing. What's up, everybody? Take a look at these. These are the entirety. This is the entirety of the line of new D&D Dice Masters stuff. This is the D&D Dice Masters campaign box, the Trouble in Waterdeep campaign box. We've got the Zentarum Dice Masters team pack, and we've got the Adventures in Waterdeep team pack. These are all due out in November. November is the tentative release date, but it's looking like that's going to hold, and we are going to see these in November. WizKids was kind enough to send this out so we can open it up and talk about these cards. I saw a lot of these cards right before Worlds, because if you didn't know, we did a big Worlds presentation, a big Worlds stream where you can watch all the World Championship side events and events, and we were able to spoil a few of the cards that were posted during the stream. I was able to pick out some that I wanted to spoil and show you guys some, including some that you're about to see right here. And if you haven't seen some spoilers posted around, some you may never have seen before. So I'm excited for everybody to see all these cards and to talk about some of these amazing cards. This campaign box retails for about $40. I checked online before we went live here, and it's looking like you could get a pre-order price at some major retailers online for like $30. If you can get that deal, that's great, but I would always recommend that you buy local. If you've got a local game store that is willing to do a pre-order, then I highly recommend going that route, because it's always good to support a good local game store that allows you to play there, or if they don't allow you to play there or haven't tried it before, I would always recommend trying and seeing if they'll let you come out and play some Dice Masters, maybe get some friends to do it. The box, the art, everything is about what you would expect for other campaign boxes. It's very similar. I love the art, and I love D&D sets in general. D&D is probably my favorite IP that they carry. I like Marvel and DC as well, but man, every time I've cracked it open a D&D set, I've enjoyed it immensely. It's a really, really cool thematic thing that goes well with Dice Masters, I think. I think it plays well, but I am a sucker for fantasy settings. Maybe that's just me. Once you open the box up, let's turn it and see what we got inside. So you open the box up, you're greeted with the straight up normal 2 small paper mats that you can play alongside a friend with. This one has a background, looks like it's Xanathar. It's kind of hard to make out, but there's Xanathar scaring some dude, and this is the cover art that you saw on the front of the box. Inside you also have a rule book. Really important thing to know, including where you can find all your information about, things that go to used piles and things that go to transition. Just wanted you to know. You can also find in the middle of the book where they put the staples. You've got another third option, which is slightly larger, for a mat that you can play on. Most people obviously buy their own mats. WizKids did sell their own mats for a while, but I guess they stopped kind of doing that with the release of these campaign boxes. They didn't exactly keep their mat game up, but you can go and get mats from online, print like things. So pretty cool. Look at that, man. Look at that. They're giving some ads space for this board game that they're releasing, and also, by the way, that just looks straight up nice. That art is so cool. On the back, that's also giving you a list of cards that you can find in the team packs. So if you wanted to go and look through, oh, hey, look, Adventures in Waterdeep has Yawning Portal, or the Zentarum team pack has the Human Warlock. I got to go get me a Human Warlock so I can slap that down. You've got that as well. Once you've cracked open the inside of the box and removed this pesky little plastic cover, which is actually pretty nice, you have some nice black sidekick dice. I didn't even realize they were black this time. Look at that. You got black sidekick dice. They're back to black. Now, it does look like after you've got your black sidekick dice here, it does look like they went back to, wait a minute. Yeah, 16. It does look like they went back to white basic actions. And there was a snafu previously on the previous box set where the colors they gave you didn't quite match the colors of the indicator cards. Now, I am not an indicator card person. I will almost never use indicator cards unless specifically requested by someone, but I guess people were sad about that. It didn't match the indicator cards. For those OCD people, I'm just gonna slap those down there. separated. So they gave us pink, green, blue, which is a very dark blue, very dark, but really kind of nice. Blue and orange. Let's see. Do they have the indicator cards out? No, there's just in the little stack. We'll take a look and see if those match or not. They give you 2 paper bags. These are a little bit sturdier paper than normal paper bags. I've seen people straight up just play with these and not actually buy their own bags. So these are actually pretty high quality. And the art is also amazing. So good for them for printing up some high quality bags that you can use. They give you silica gel to put into your shoes whenever you don't want them to stink anymore. They gave you 3 tokens. They gave you a Guardian token, which is kind of cool. They gave you the God Catcher, which I've never heard of. It's a 10/10. Look at that. And they gave you the Great Drunkard token. Those 2 come off of actions from the set. So you play the action, you get that token. It goes into the field. It's pretty cool that they printed off those tokens. They used to do that in older sets as well. They would give you the... man, those dice look pretty. They would give you the what were those called? Let's put it like this. The squirrel tokens. That's what they were. They would give you squirrel tokens. It looks like, and this is similar to what I'd seen online, it would appear that they give you a dice count that is very similar to the Warhammer set, where they give you basically 3 dice for every card. Now, that's not going to be completely true, because it did look like, from what I could tell, they did give you 2 dice for certain cards, like the actions, the 2 actions that everyone's talking about, the God Catcher and the Great Drunkard. It did appear that they gave both of those 2 dice and not 3, which surprisingly is probably the 2 most sought-after cards when it comes to tons of dice, because they're both low drops and they both have huge impact on the board. Casually just opening boxes. Speaking of which, oh, they gave you 2 Nihilors as well. So there's the 2 Nihilors, which is a fine one because honestly you're not buying multiple Nihilors, or even maybe 1. You might not even buy 1 Nihilor. Who knows? But there's your actions. Then over here we got a few more characters. We'll get these dumped out so everyone can see what the distribution looks like. Goodness gracious, can't even open them. How's everyone's night going? It is a synthetic woven fabric that these boxes are made, or these bags are made of. Thank you for that. I did not know that. Synthetic woven fabric, which is why it's more durable than paper. That's pretty sweet. The dice feel good. They feel normal. They don't feel too light. They feel fairly squared off on the edges, but over time I imagine that would round down just from use. Man, yeah, I'm excited to get into these cards. I'm gonna finish this little bag. Get out of here. Get those there. So yes, exactly. 3 dice for every card or for every character or action, except for Nihilor, the God Catcher, and the Great Drunkard. So this is what comes in the box, as well as this nice stack of cards. Oh, look, the color indicators. Let's check before we kick off at looking at all of the cards. And again, like I said, this retails for $40. It's nice that they're giving you more dice per card, and they're not doing the thing that they were doing a second ago. Oh, it's called navy blue. So orange, check down there. Got pink, check up there. Dark green, check. It is a dark green. And a navy blue, check. All 4 checks. Throw those over there, because we're not ever gonna use those. The thing we came for. We all know what's in the box after a certain point. Now let's see what we really came here for, because you're buying the box for the wonderful cards and the effects. Let's move this down so we can see a little bit better. Zoom. Whoa. Don't explode, thing. Don't explode. Oh, the springs. They're popping. Hey, that looks good. When I hold it up, I'm just going to cut this in half. That's less than half. When I hold it up, it's blurry, so I need to go in here, configure the video, and then I need to pop it to about there. Because now when I hold it up, it's so wonderful. Would you look at that? It's so much easier to read. Cool. All right, let's talk about these cards. I am so hyped. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. Okay. Oranax Gold Dragon, 6 cost fist character. It is a good dragon. It can be equipped. So first of all, this dragon can be equipped with equipment. which is absolutely hilarious. It is a monster, of course. It's got a 1/4/4/2/6/6/3/7/8 stat line. This one has Breath Weapon 2. Breath Weapon, pay 2 to deal 2 damage to your opponent and all their character dice. And Oranax's Breath Weapon deals 2 extra damage to adventurers, so it can hit for a little bit. But it's a good dragon, so, you know, you have that going for it. Pretty cool card. I'm going to stack them this way. Oh, a little scuff mark. Sad day. 5-cost version, Dragon of Waterdeep. Also a good dragon. That's why it's a good guy. It's a Dragon of Waterdeep. It's a Breath Weapon 1, and then when Oranax's Breath Weapon deals damage to an adventurer, it cannot block this turn. And that is the adventurer cannot block, not Oranax, which wouldn't make any sense because Breath Weapon is a sort of a when attacks ability. You can trigger it while it attacks only. It's a pretty decent one. For a 5-drop, you're getting a 7/8 on top, and at worst, it's a 4/4 that has a Breath Weapon attack that takes away sidekick blockers. Pretty good. This is a 5-drop as well. Oranax counts as a dragon. This can't be ignored, copied, or swapped. That's really interesting. This is Breath Weapon 2. So it's a Breath Weapon 2, and it counts itself as a dragon, and it's a 5-drop 7/8. There's some really cool combos with this and some Tomb of Annihilation cards, like the Elf Druid, I think is the one that looks for dragons in the field. And because they called it Vault Guardian instead of some sort of a dragon there at the top, they had to put the counts as a dragon text there as well. But the fact that it can't be ignored, copied, or swapped is also kind of interesting, meaning that copying this with something like, Doppelganger, he does not gain the dragon text. By the way, if I mispronounce a card, give me a little grace, because it's quite possible that I might call this Calliope and not Calliope, this is Calliope, Charismatic Bard, 4-cost shield character. Good affiliation with good alignment with the equip symbol and the, every single time I want to say the Earl Grey banner, but it's not. It's the Force Grey banner. 013023, 135 stat line. This has experience. When Calliope and at least one NPC die attack after blockers are declared, you may swap Calliope and one of the NPC dice, and if you do, Calliope is no longer blocked, and the NPC die gains Overcrush, which is really, really cool card. There's so many different ways that you can mess with this and do things with it. I highly, highly recommend checking out this card. And also, I made a video on this with a combo using this card and basically a bunch of other D&D cards and Loki, where you give your opponent a monster with which to gain experience, since she has the experience keyword. Calliope, Volatile Heroine, is also a 4-cost version with the same stat line and affiliations and all that. Also has experience. This one has Infiltrate. So Infiltrate has made its way, I almost said infiltrated its way into the D&D sets. So if you push with this and it is unblocked, then it can just kind of pop right back to the field and deal 1 damage instead of 1, 2, or 3 like it would normally deal, which is a really cool ability. With experience, it adds a little interesting flavor and possible strategic depth. Kind of a cool card. And this is funny. Calliope, pirate storyteller, but it's not a pirate, which is so sad, right? I mean, it makes sense. Pirate storyteller. 4-cost as well. Experience. While Calliope is active, your NPC dice get +1/+1. And don't forget, NPC dice means sidekicks, and allies are sidekicks while they're in the field. So, anything that is an ally or anything that might come out in the future as an ally gets a buff from Calliope here, which is neat. That's a really good card, by the way. If you're playing in draft, you should draft this card, because that's insane. Draft is such a limited format, and the ability to buff something like your sidekicks that you're going to have a ton of is awesome. Oh, now we get to talk about Obscure. This is Drow Mercenary, Hired Blade, a 3-cost bolt character. He is neutral, he can be equipped, and he is a monster, which is not very nice of you to say that about the Drow. He's got the 032, 142, 144 stat line that they had all the way back in the Battle for Faerun set, which was like the 4th set ever released of Dice Masters, like in 2015, I think. It has this new ability called Obscure, and when you use an action die, This character is unblockable until the end of the turn. So essentially, this card has a keyworded version of Common Yanti ability. So that's what Obscure is. If you ever see Obscure, there it is. It's really cool. And a 4/4, by the way. Just play in action, you have a 4/4 that is unblockable. That's pretty sick. And it's for 3. I like that a lot. 3-cost Drow Mercenary Dark Elf Assassin. Infiltrate, as well as when you attack with 2 or more character dice, Drow Mercenary deals an additional damage with Infiltrate. So if this is unblocked, which is kind of unlikely based on the stat line, but if it is unblocked and you attack with 2 or more character dice, him counts. So he counts himself, I believe. He deals an additional damage with Infiltrate. So you get to pull him back and deal 2 instead of 1. Or, sorry, 2 instead of 1 for the Infiltrate ping. So it's a pretty solid little card. I would also take this in draft. It is a little harder to block things and not block things in draft. So it's worth a flyer there towards the late rounds. I'm going to try to focus it a little bit more. Nope, it was literally the perfect amount, and now I've messed it up. Of course. Close enough. Cruising right along. Drow Mercenary Bregan, I'm not going to say it. Bregan Darthe, I don't know. 3-cost Bolt character as well. Drow Mercenary cannot be blocked by only 1 character. So this basically, if you played Magic the Gathering before, this has Menace. It has to be blocked by 2 or more character dice only. So it does force your opponent to be in some uncomfortable scenarios, and at the very least you can remove 2 sidekicks from their field when you attack with this. And again, it's a 4/4 for 3. Like, that's above average stat line in general. Now we get to some really fun cards, the Gazer cards. 2 costs, this is Gazer Beholder's Dream, I should say. 2 costs, Evil Alignment. It's a shield character, monster, terrible stat line in general, but you're not paying for the stats. 0/1/1, 1/1/1, 1/1/2. You are paying to field it oftentimes. When it is KO'd, you may move target die from an opponent's prep area to their used pile. Yeah, so if they have stuff that's prepped and you just block with Gazer, well, now it's no longer prepped. It's now back in their used. This is great if you're playing in limited or in some just like weird format where they're not like perfect ramping, and it's even pretty good in like constructed level events when you can muck up people's preps and things like that. This card is solid in general. So is Gazer the Beholderkin, also a 2-drop. Same stat line and affiliations. This one says, when it is KO'd, you may draw 2 dice from an opponent's bag, place either or both into their used pile, and then return the rest to their bag. So you can, when you KO this, you can pull 2 from their bag, and if you get 2 sidekicks, you can just put them right back. If you get a sidekick in a character, you can put the sidekick back and the character in their used. If you get 2 characters or 2 actions or anything like that, you can put them both in used, and they just miss. And yes, you can get multiple of these 2-drops out. And yes, you can get multiple procs of it at the same time and just totally screw up somebody's bag. And yes, third yes, if you have this with Tabaxi Rogue, it does deal them too, which is pretty sweet. All right, Gazer, Evil Familiar, 1 card that I've featured multiple times, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. It's also a 2-drop, same stat lines and affiliations. It has Intimidate, which is an amazing keyword that you can read right there. It can only use Intimidate on character dice with 1 or less experience tokens, and that's just about everything in Modern. That's just about every single card in Modern Age is going to have 1 or less experience tokens, which makes this card super good. This card is super duper good. I love it. I am a fan. It's like a body for 1 proc of the Lantern Ring, the Yellow Lantern Ring, which is just insane when you think about it that way. It's like it gives you a body and it procs, and you can KO it. Cool. Grell, Skulking Aberration. I think it's kind of funny that they have Grell here. Actually, no, it makes sense. The Guardian token was a picture of Grell, but the guy that it goes with is bad too, so makes sense. 2-cost Bolt character, bad guy. Got the evil alignment. This has Infiltrate. So when it is unblocked, you can just pop it back and deal 1 damage. There's a lot of Infiltrate for bad guys on this, or really Infiltrate, I guess, for everything in this set. The stat line's pretty good too. An 0/2/1, 1/3/1, 1/3/2. You're paying that for 2, so you got 3 attack on top, which means it can trade with things like Shriek. Not a bad card. I also featured this one in a spoiler video. Grell Xanathar Guild Bodyguard, 2-cost bolt character as well. When it is KO'd, you can draw 2 dice from your bag, prep 1, and place the other in used. So it is both ramp and churn. The only downside to this card is if you hit it while, or if you hit it and then draw 2, and they're both characters or actions or things you care about, then you're really sad. That's about it. That's the only downside, because otherwise this is pretty sweet. Grell Blind Ambusher. It's got Deadly. This is a solid pickup in draft. Anything that has Deadly makes things so much more difficult for your opponent, because assuming that everybody takes something that's fairly big or fairly impactful, this can just deal with it, especially if things are teetering towards combat centric. And with things like tokens, very high-powered tokens in this set, this straight up just counters those, especially the God Catcher that forces your opponent to block with something. Well, you just block with this, as well as whatever else you're blocking with, and that token is gone forever, which is pretty sweet. Intellect Devourer, Mind Flayer's Pet. 3-cost bolt character. Spark is a new keyword. I'll talk about that in a second. This is an 011, 022, 152 stat line. Yes, that stat line is as read, a 152 on top. Spark is a new keyword, but this Spark ability, when you trigger it, says deal 1 damage to target opponent. And the way you trigger Spark abilities is that whenever you roll a burst or a double burst face on a die, not on an action die, but on a die, and we will find cards, both already printed and in this set and things like that, that have burst faces and double burst faces on their character sides or on their action sides. We're going to find that more prevalently. So this has some utility going forward. Keep your eyes peeled for things with bursts and double burst faces. This one also has Spark. Brain Eating Monster. 3-cost Spark. Spin target character die down 1 level. It also has a global. Global. Once during your turn, you can spin and one. this is the printed card, wrong one. Once during your turn, you may spin 1 of your NPC dice to an energy face. Move it to your reserve pool. Now, the crazy thing about this, again, allies are NPC dice. So if you had like a Wong out there and you wanted to spin him to a 2-fist side, well, you can do that for literally free because this global does not have a cost. It's like the pay 0 fixers, right? This is essentially that, which is pretty sweet. It's a fixer for everything, so you're gonna see this global printed a lot or played a lot. And the final Intellect Devourer is Intellect Devourer Deadly Puppet Master, 4-cost bolt character, same stat line and affiliations. While Intellect Devourer is active, when an opponent spins question marks, deal 1 damage to that opponent, and then a global. Once during your turn, you can spin the NPC dice to an energy face, so it's printed here as well. This one is kind of interesting. It just forces them to spend their question marks in a different way, or like re-roll question marks, or avoid taking damage, or they just take the damage. Not the greatest of the 3, definitely not my favorite of the 3, but it has some interest just because it has that global as well. All right, on to some adventurers, more adventurers, I should say. I'm gonna say Jamila, I don't know. Shipwrecked on Kult. I'm not going to pronounce any of these things right, so cut me some slack. 4-cost fist character, neutral, can be equipped thanks to the equip symbol there and the Force Gray banner. A 2/2, a 1/3/3, and a 2/4/3 stat line. Has experience, and it has Overcrush. A 4-cost adventurer with Overcrush is really, really good. This card is a really good play. If it were a 3-drop, this would be insane in Limited. As it stands, as a 4-drop, this card is decent in Limited. But anything that has Overcrush in like a draft or in like an only D&D kind of an event is worth a look, and this is definitely worth a look. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you are playing in some sort of a D&D only event or a draft format. Here's the next one, Rough and Tumble Fighter, same stat line, affiliation, and purchase cost, a 4 purchase cost. This one has experience, and it says, when he KOs a character with combat damage, prep a die from your bag. So basically, when you push with this and it blocks anything, it's likely going to KO it, unless it's something huge. You're just going to get to prep a die. So there's not a ton of setup that goes with this. It's basically just when you push with this, you're likely to prep a die. And if you don't prep a die, you're probably dealing some damage. So good for you. Pretty good card as well. Again, 4-cost experience, not a bad setup. The stat line's not terrible. It's not great. You're paying 2 on top. Last one, Champion Arm Wrestler. 4-cost as well. Same stat lines, affiliations. They didn't change up the alignment like they've done in the past sometimes. This has experience, and he cannot be affected by opposing global abilities or action dice. So he just can't be pushed back out of the field. He can't be targeted with action dice of any sort, so popped out with something crazy, you know, like a magic missile action proc? I don't know, something like that. Now, it does say opposing global abilities or action dice, so you can technically target this with your own globals and your own actions. So you can pump it with a global, you can pump it with an action, you can give it Overcrush with some sort of an action. So this is a really cool card. It's one-sided in that affair, and if you can make this really, really big, they have no way, except blocking it, they have no way to push it out of the field or out of the attack zone. Joppa, Fisherman Extraordinaire, 3-cost shield character, good alignment. It is an 021, 031, 133, so it's not great stat line, but you're getting it for 3. It's not too bad. Experience, again. And then prevent all damage done to Joppa by character dice of equal or lower level. So if he's level 3, he just doesn't get KO'd. Like, no combat damage is done, which is insane. It says prevent all damage, ability damage as well. Yeah, so like the 2-1 or the 3-1 side. The 3-1 side, if someone uses like an attune thing, proc is a short word for it. It just means trigger. If some sort of thing triggers, like for example, if attune triggers and the attune is directed at the 3-1 Joppa, if it's coming from a level 1 or a level 2, it's not going to deal it. As far as I can tell, prevent all damage done. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's good in a draft setting. He makes it hard to block. There was a card way back in Battle for Faerun that felt that way. It was Dwarf Wizard? No. Dwarf Fighter, or something like that. Dwarf Fighter made it really difficult to deal with boards because he did something similar, like bad guys, like evil aligned characters just didn't deal him any damage. Speaking of, Joppa Zen, 3-cost, same things, stat line wise, same things, affiliation wise and alignment. It also has experience, so he's going to gain experience as he goes, and then prevent all damage to him while he is blocking. This was the kind of card that they had it back in Battle for Faerun as well, where he could just block and nothing would happen. This is insane against big things, big threats as well, because it's not looking for anything of like equal or lower level like the last card. This is literally just, if he's blocking, then nothing happens to him. No Overcrush would travel through, you know, whatever you want to call it, would pop over him. Straight up, just if he gets to block, nothing happens. So that is a really solid card as well against some big guys, like 10-10s, for example. The final one is a Fishing Metamorphs. Is that right? No, Metaphors. Oh my gosh. I should not read from the screen. I should just read from the card. Fishing Metaphors. 3-cost shield character. Same stat lines as well. Experience, and this one has fast. So essentially it just gets to hit whatever it's blocking before that blocking thing hits it, which is pretty sweet. Not as good as the other two, but not bad. All right. On to the fish people. We have Kuotoa, Whip of... What does that even say? Oh, good lord. Whip of Blibdulpulp. Yes, that one. Moving on. 2-cost fist character. Bad guy all around. He's got the monster equip. Got all that stuff. Got the 111, 112, 122 stat line. I do not like having to pay to field my 2-drop on every side. But Swarm and Obscure. When you use an action die, this character is unblockable until the end of the turn. So any die that has Obscure is something to look out for. So it makes sense why you'd have to pay to field it on every side, and he's a 2-drop, because you do have that Obscure ability. And that Obscure, we've found that Obscure is just pretty solid. Like, people run Common Yanti for a reason. Attune and unblockable when you play actions is pretty sweet. This is not attune and unblockable when you play actions. This is swarm and unblockable when you play actions, so it's a little different in that sense, but I think it's still just as good. Maybe I shouldn't say just as good. I think it is good, but yeah, anything that has obscure you want to kind of keep your eye out for in this set. Continuing on, got a bunch more cards here. Kuo-toa Underdark Raider, 2 cost as well. Got the evil alignment, the equip symbol, the monster keyword, same stat line as before. It also has swarm, and then it also says when fielded, it gains +1 attack until the end of the turn. So let's kind of look at the stat line after it would get +1 attack. So anytime you field this, you are getting a 2/1, a 3/1, or a 3/2. It also has swarm, which kind of works against the idea, because you want to keep those swarm characters active constantly, or at least one of them, so that swarm can trigger. But I guess the goal here would be to keep one of them active, and then every time you roll or pull and then roll, triggering swarm or proccing swarm, then you roll it as a character face, put it out there, and then just push with it. It's at least a 3/2 on top, or at most a 3/2 on top. Maybe it goes through. I guess the downfall to that, though, is once the character Kuo-toa that pushes gets KO'd, the swarm no longer triggers when it comes out of prep area. Like, if it's coming from this prep area into your reserve to start your turn, you're not getting that swarm trigger anymore. So that is kind of a downside, kind of a drop down. Speaking of obscure, here's another one. Kuo-toa Mad Degenerate. This is a 3-cost version. They made it 3 cost, I guess, because of the inclusion of Infiltrate. We have both obscure and infiltrate. So this is really interesting. If you think about the combination here, if you have this 3-cost Mad Degenerate 2/2 in the field, let's say you have a 2/2, and you play an action, I don't know, any action, investigation, for example, it draws and rolls 2 dice. All of a sudden, this 2/2 Kuo-toa is unblockable. You push with it, it can't be blocked, and then you just infiltrate. So it just guarantees deals 1 damage, which is kind of cool. This is sort of like when you used to be able to play the super rare, what was that? Super rare Angela, the one that made all of your infiltrate character dice unblockable, but they had to use their infiltrate trigger. This is like that. It just stays like that. I mean, it's like a 1-card version of that, rather than running some sort of a combo. It's kind of cool. I like it. You do have to pay 3 for it, though, and it's an understated kind of character for 3. Oh, geez. I should have studied up on these names. Gnarl. We're just going to call him Gnarl. Gnarl Zibrindas. Gnarl. Anyway, Drow Advisor. He's the advisor to the Drow. He's a 4-cost bolt character. Evil alignment. Got the equip symbol. Got the old scratchy scratch. He's a monster, which is kind of interesting. I guess he's a drow, so it makes sense. They made him drows before. The 023, 133, 134 stat line, and he says when fielded, field a guardian token with 1 attack and 1 defense. And if he would be KO'd, he meaning Gnarl, you may instead KO the guardian token and clear all damage from him. So that guardian token doesn't leave at the end of the turn. You basically get a 1/1 along with this. So if you think about it, you're buying this for 4, and you're fielding a 2/3 for free, and you're getting a 1/1 as well. So you get a 2/3 and a 1/1, which is basically 2 bodies, and it's fielding both of them. So it's 2 fielded procs. So if there's anything that, I don't know, looks for something when it's fielded and does some effect, we might see that later, then this would trigger that twice. Now, if it's looking for something specific, then perhaps not. But this does at least trigger that thing twice, which is sweet. This is really, really cool. And the fact that you can just sack the token and allow this to basically just come on back is kind of interesting. Now, it doesn't... you kind of want this to be KO'd so that you can refield it and get another token. Be kind of cool that way. But at least you can keep him in the field if you wanted him in the field. So that's something to consider. The next version is also a 4-drop. This is Quiet Desperation, 4-drop as well, same affiliations and stat lines. This says when fielded, field a guardian token with with 1 attack, 1 defense, and deadly. This one I would say is markedly better. I don't really care about keeping Gnarl here in the field. so much as I do creating a token that has deadly, that can trade up for absolutely anything. This is great in draft and sealed or whatever. You know, it's great just period. If everyone said, all right, D&D only, you could slap this on a team and you'd be pretty good because no matter what, if it survives to the blockers, declare blockers step, then your 1/1 deadly thing just trades with whatever you want. This is a solid card. And again, it's fielding a token, so this counts for 2 procs of fielding stuff, which I don't think people have realized yet. 5-drop bolt version. This is Trusted Advisor. All the bad guy stuff. Same stat line. When fielded, field a guardian token with 2 attack and 2 defense. So this one's a 2/2, which I'm going to pause for a moment. Pausing. Oh, they did it. Oh, I'm so happy. Okay, so I noticed on the front of this, the guardian token is a 1/1. And when you flip it over, the guardian token on the back is a 2/2. Look, they were so prepared. Look at them. This is what comes in the box as well. Solid. Good on you, whiz kids. You did it. You did it. So this creates a 2/2, which is even better. Again, 5-drop. When you're looking at the stat line, let's say it's an averaging a 3/3. You're averaging a 5/5 over 2 bodies, which is something we've not really ever seen them do before. To put a character like, when you field it, gains some other type of character on the field as well. This is like literally, well, not literally the first. I guess they did it with Drizzed. I think they probably did it with, I guess Squirrel Girl kind of makes that same thing. But this is kind of cool because you get 2 when fielded procs from it. And I think that's the distinction to make. But it also says, I should read the rest of the card. While he is active at the beginning of your turn, if you have no guardian tokens in the field, you field another one, which is awesome. Yes, he does. He creates unlimited tokens given unlimited fieldings. So every time you field it, he creates another one. If you have one in the field already, he just creates another one. There's not a limit, as said by the card. There's no limit. If you have one already, it just doesn't happen. You can just create more tokens. And this this one's so cool because when you start your turn, if you lost your 2/2 blocking, or maybe you pushed with your 2/2, all of a sudden you just get another 2/2 for free. Now, you can't do some like really cool fancy tricks when you know, at the beginning of your turn when this is fielded, but the fact that you just get a 2/2 back is pretty sweet. So for 5, you're paying for that ability. That's not a bad ability to pay for 5. Double procking and getting a 2/2, not too bad. All right, on to Nihilor, Mind Flayer. 5-cost mask character. Got the evil alignment, the equip symbol. Like, you can equip in this entire thing. I wish there were more equipables, I guess, equipables. But you know what? There's 4 sets now of D&D, so you can go all the way back to Battle for Faerun if you've got it, or if you have access to it online. Buy a bunch of that. There was a great sword back then, great helmet. You could play those. This one's got the 115, 226, 337 stat line, so you have to pay a boatload just to get this and then field it, which is a bit much. But when fielded, name an energy type. Remove all energy of that type from your opponent's reserve pool, including all question marks. So if they're holding energy, you just wipe it all away. Now, the unfortunate thing to this is you're fielding it, and then unless you're KOing it yourself through some global or activated ability kind of thing, you're just not ever going to field this again because it's got a 5, 6, and 7 defense, and unless they're attacking you with like a 10-10 or a 6-6, you're not getting this back out of the field to field again. So not a great card, I would say. Not a great one. Now this one, on the other hand, a little bit more good. As we see, Nihilor plotting 6 drops, so you got to pay 1 extra for this one versus the last one. Same stat lines and affiliations. When fielded, gain control of target character die of a lower level. Return that die to its owner's control when one of your Nihilor dice leave the field zone. So essentially, when fielded, if you have a level 3 version of this, take their win condition and never give it back. You literally are just going to take it, and then you will not give this back, because unless they're removing this through some, you know, like auto KO means, like when fielded KO something, or a blanking, I guess, this is just not really getting KO'd, which is pretty sick. I haven't even talked about the fact that the global's amazing as well. Global, pay a mask once per turn, so not on your turn, once per turn, you may KO a character die you control. This has wide-reaching impact on tons of different cards, not just wonderful cards in this set, like the Grell or the Gazer, that were both win KO'd abilities for cheap that did great things. This one can hit things like Harley Quinn that re-rolls everything in the field. You just pay this and re-roll everything. And you do it on your opponent's turn now, which is amazing. It hits like tons of different win KO'd effects. And the fact that it can do it on your opponent's turn opens up a ton of new windows for a ton of new win KO'd effects. So, with that being said, post a really amazing win KO'd effect that you can find on, I don't know, the Dice Coalition Team Builder. You could go all the way back to Golden, but even in Modern, there's some really good ones that have now changed thanks to this global being able to trigger on your opponent's turn. Throw one of those in chat if you can come up with it. Moving on to the final Nihilore, Patient Aberration. 6-drop, same affiliations and stat line. When fielded, gain control of all opposing NPC character dice, including allies. Return those dice to their owner's control when one of your Nihilore dice leaves the field zone. Nice thing here is if somehow you had 2 6-drop Nihilores in the field, at least they have clarified now that if one of your Nihilore dice leave, not the sort of capturing one, but if one of them leaves, then you return those captured dice. This one also has the global as well. You could play either of them because you're most likely playing them for the global. But if it were me, I would probably play the other one just because it's spicier to me. And it's got a cool subtitle. Plotting. I like that. Silgar. Silgar is a fish. In fact, Silgar is favored fish, a 1-cost shield character. It is neutral because it's a fish. It is a monster, even though it is a fish. The stat line of this fish is 001, 001 with a burst face. Hey, looking at you, Spark. And 002, because it's a fish. It doesn't attack. It's a fish. When it's KO'd by combat damage, you may purchase a Xanathar character die for 2 and prep it. So I can pay 1. I can slap this out there for free because it's a fish. Then I can force my opponent to attack with like an attack global, force attack global. I can block, and then I can pay 2 for a Nihilore because I kept 2 energy and I floated, or sorry, for a Xanathar, excuse me, not a Nihilore. For a Xanathar, because I floated 2 energy on my turn, and then I prep a Xanathar. Which Xanathar would I like to prep? I don't know. There's a couple that are pretty good, but the fact that you can get this fish and then you can KO it and get a Xanathar for 2 is pretty sweet. It's a bit of a setup, though. It's a 2-card combo that you could just as easily pay 6 for the Xanathars, but, you know, it's spicy and it's thematic, and I love theme, so go with it. 1-cost, Innocent Fish. It is innocent, and it's also a fish. When Silgar is KO'd by combat damage, again, KO'd by combat damage, you cannot ping this out yourself or KO it yourself. You may prep a Xanathar from your used pile, and then on the burst phase, if Silgar is KO'd by combat damage while Xanathar is active, deal 5 damage to target opponent. That's right, deal 5. You can Silgar OTK, people. This is a max 4. They give you 3 in the box, but you could, if you buy a second box, people, you can Silgar OTK. So all you got to do is get 4 Silgars on level 2. That's not terribly hard to do. You get a Xanathar active, and then you force attack one of their characters. Block with all the Silgars, 20 damage OTK. Come on, who is not excited about that? That is a hilarious... Someone needs to put a video together for that. Man, I guess I'll do it. I'll be the one. There it is. That's the first team we're going to put together. All right. Silgar Small Bowl is a 2-drop shield character. When it's KO'd by combat damage, deal 2 damage to target opponent. So this one is just straight up, it gets to deal 2. Again, you have to kind of pair it with a force attack. I guess the danger of force attack, death by goldfish, that's right, it's amazing. The danger of force attacks is that they force attack at your Silgars or your your Xanathars, but I don't know, find something that makes them not able to target your stuff with globals. And you're good to go. That's a funny card as well. Okay, so I was looking at the entire set, and I was scrolling through. This was a little while ago. This was not recently. This was a little while ago. And I got to these god catchers, and I looked at them and I said, oh, I looked at this first one and I said, oh, that's really cool, man. I want to play with that. That seems really neat. It doesn't seem super effective because, you know, of the ability, it's kind of situational, but the fact that it gives you what it gives you is amazing. So let's talk about it. The God Catcher, Mighty Construct, 2-cost bolt character, neutral. It's a trap. It's got two burst faces, a burst face and a double burst face. So there you go, Spark again. It's a trap, so when you put it in the field zone, it just sits there. And then whenever it's triggered, it goes to your used and you do the effect. So the trigger for this is an opponent attacks with a character die with 7 or attack or more. So what in this set has 7 attack or more? So far, we have Oranax, the dragon. We have nothing else. So in set, this may have only a little bit of utility. Of course, I'm going to show you the God Catcher next, and you're going to be like, oh, there you go. They could attack with that, definitely. But, you know, at least you get, when the effect actually, you know, goes off, you get a 10/10 God Catcher token, which is pretty sweet. Now, again, you're relying on your opponent to attack you, and attack you with a 7 attack creature, character, whatever you want to call it. But if they do that, you get a nice little proc of a 10/10. And it's just a 10/10. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't like force your opponent's characters to a block or something like that. But you get a 10/10, which is pretty nice. Great in the instance that they're attacking with a 7 attack. You just trade up with your 10/10. And it sticks around. The token doesn't go away at the end of the turn. It just stays. So you get a 10/10 while you KO their thing. Now this is the one. I scrolled down and I got to the God Catcher. Oh, let me give you some preface, okay? So I wasn't. So I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that. Screw it. I'm gonna do it anyway. So I saw these cards a little bit before Worlds, like I said, and I was trying to pull cards that I could show at Worlds. WizKids sent me some samples to look at, and they were like, "Hey, you pick which ones you wanna show at Worlds so that we can get some hype for this set." And I was like, "Yes, that's what I want to do. Let's do it." And so me and Ross, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, Ross Foster, we were teaming up to do these card reveals and the whole streaming of the event. We got copies to look at and pick from what we wanted to show off. And he had taken a look at the cards before I had because I was at work. And I was scrolling through, just casually scrolling through. We were on like a Skype call or a Google Hangouts call. And I got to this one. And I forget what we were talking about. And I forget what we were talking about because I read this card and I absolutely lost it. And just had to talk about this card for like a solid several minutes. Because this is insane. I should probably read the card. Famous Walking Statue. 3-cost bolt action. Neutral. It's a trap. So you place it out there. The trigger is when you use an action die. And then the effect is you get a 10/10. And it has, when it attacks, target character die must block this turn. So you put this out there. And then you play a second one. The first one triggers, or procs. The effect goes off, you get a 10/10, and then you can attack with it and take away their Shriek, or take away their win condition of any sort. This card is so good. It's a max 4. Now, the only downside to this card, literally the only downside, well, I guess there's 2 if you want to count it as a downside, but it's really not. One downside out of 2 is that it's a max 4 and they give you 2 in the box. That's the downside, is that you don't have enough dice to play 4 of them. But honestly, 2 of them is just fine, because you just kill them off of each other. It's like a sidekick. That being said, it's also an upside if you can give this Overcrush. So give this Overcrush, make a sidekick block. If they only have a sidekick in the field, it only gets blocked by the sidekick. You keep your 10/10 token in the field. They take 9 damage. They can double, triple, quadruple block. They can block it with a ton of things if they have a ton of things in the field. But you get to pick what has to block. And if you only push with the God Catcher, you're pushing with a 10/10. That is the only thing that is allowed to be blocked. This card is insane. This card is super good. It's an action, so there's a ton of combos already with it. Highly recommend this card. In fact, I'm just going to set right there because that is like the money card in my opinion. It's so good. It's sad to go from that to these other ones because these are also really cool cards. It's just they don't measure up to that. The Great Drunkard is a gargantuan construct, a 4-cost fist action. It's also a trap. It's got the 2 burst phases, by the way. Trap, it's got the trigger that says you take 3 or more damage in a single turn, and the effect is field a 6/6 the Great Drunkard token. Now, the downside here to this is I cannot think of a way to deal 3 to yourself. So, like, if you wanted to trigger this yourself, I can't think of a way to do that. But this does basically just throw it out there. You leave, like, 3 sidekicks unblocked if they push with everything, and you get a 6/6 after the fact, which is not great because you are letting some damage go through. All right, here's the only way that I can think off the top of my head to get 3 damage to yourself. You have an attune character, and you direct the attune damage to yourself after you play 3 actions. That is extremely difficult to do and therefore not really a strategy that you can build around, but you know what? It's a 4-cost trap, so, go with it. 3-cost trap, built for defense. This one says, your opponent uses a global ability on your turn. Now, this is a lot more easy to trigger because that trigger is going to happen often. After they use a global ability on your turn, you just get to field a 6/6 Great Drunkard token. Now, you can't, or you can definitely allow them to use that thing and then field this and then attack with it. That is like totally usable and doable. They can avoid it if you wanted to. They can avoid it, or if they wanted to, I should say, by not using globals until the globals portion of the attack step. Now, if you play that game, if they try to just wait out their globals until then, you can just skip your attack step, and then that phase closes, and they just miss out on whatever globals they might want to use. So there's some risk reward on their side, which makes this card really, really good. You oftentimes are just going to get a 6/6 for 3. And it doesn't have any other extra abilities, so that is a little downside. But a 6/6 for 3, man, I would take that. And you get action procs with it. Things like attune go off. That's a solid card. Tyrell, I would guess is how you'd say that. Tyrell. He's a Firbolg Druid. Man, I need to brush up on these names. 4-cost mask character. Good alignment. Got the Force Gray. Got the equip symbol. He's got everything. The normal setup. He's got an 022, 123, 234 stat line. He has experience. And he says when any of your character cards gain experience tokens, you may spin this character down 1 level. And if you do, you gain 2 life. So if he's on level 2 and you get an experience token at the end of your turn, he can spin down to the 2/2 side and you get 2 life. Is that good? No. So let's keep going. 4-drop. Sword for Hire. Mask character. Same stat lines, affiliations. You got to pay a little bit to get him out there. Do note that this is the exact same stat line as the Elf Druid. Same symbol even, just the die is differently colored. So if you wanted to sub in 1 extra die from the previous set, from the Tomb of Annihilation set, you could do that. This has experience as well. It says, while he is active, you may spin this character down 1 level, and if you do, prevent all damage to you from target opposing character die until the end of the turn. This is a super cool one because you can just do this while he's out there on your opponent's turn, and you just don't take like dragon damage. You can do this even before they breath weapon, spin it down, and even if it gets KO'd like when they push, you don't take any of the damage. You don't take any of the combat damage or the breath weapon damage. You don't take any damage if they push with Iceman and you spin this down. It just, the pings don't direct to you, like the damage from Iceman just doesn't go. This card is solid. This is one to keep your eye out for in competitive modern play, because all you got to do is pay 4 to get it out there, and then make sure it's not on level 1. You could spin it down. You know what you could do? You can even get kind of crazy with this. If you put on like energy field. Wait a minute. Wait. So if you put energy field and another character, and you slap this down and that one down, and you spin this down for the ability, and then you spin it back up, you spin it down, spin it. You could do it like 3 times, and then 3 dice on your opponent's side just don't deal damage to you. That is pretty cool. This is a really cool, interesting control card. I think people haven't really talked about this one. And that's an interesting one to keep in mind. If you're watching, keep it in mind. Continuing on, the last of Tyrell. He's a shapeshifter of the small. He's got experience. He's got all the same sort of setup. He's got a 4-drop mask character purchase cost. And he says, experience, and while he is active once per turn, you may spin him down 1 level or remove an experience token from its card. And if you do, prep a die from your bag. Now, this one you cannot trigger over and over and over again. So this one's not as solid, but the other one does not have that, right? Yeah, I mean, you could just do this multiple times a turn. It does not say once per turn. That is super cool. Prep a die is not too bad either. And you can do it multiple ways. You can spin it down or take a token off. All right, Volo, Guide Rider. 2-cost bolt character. The good affiliation, or the good alignment, I should say. Yeah, good, yeah. Equip symbol, attune, and experience. The body is terrible. It's an 001, 011, and 012. But the fact that it has experience is solid, and the fact that it has attune is great if your opponent has like any of those 1 defense monsters in the field. So this one could actually get pretty big pretty quickly. Worth a look if you're playing limited sort of formats. Definitely worth a look. Experience and attune, both strong keywords. And experience is one of those that once you get the ball rolling, it can get really nasty really quick. On a 2-drop's not bad. Traveling Scholar, also a 2-drop bolt character, same affiliations and alignments and stat lines and all that. Experience, and when you field a character die with experience, this character gains an experience token. So he can't trigger himself because it says other than Volo, but if you invest in some 3-drops, or, you know, any other experience that is actually pretty good, any other adventurers that are actually pretty good, this is a really, really solid card because you don't have to jump through the hoops of KOing your opponent's stuff. You don't even have to rely on your opponent having monsters, which means you can play Volo and other adventurers out in the modern world. Now, the other adventurers wouldn't have as much utility unless there are some really just great adventurers, or you're up against Yanti, which is possible. But the fact that he just gets really big is really cool. This is one to keep an eye out on. Just sort of fun casual teams might pop up using that just to try it. You might even try it yourself. Volo, edited by, what does that say from here? Elminster. 2-cost as well, bolt character as well, same stat lines and affiliations. This one is experience, and while he is active, your character dice with experience are free to field. So you get him out for free, all of your experience character dice are free to field as well. Now, experience, it's sort of like the, I guess what's the best way to say it? Experience and adventurers, they are sort of like the square versus the rectangle. Sometimes a square can be a rectangle can be a square, but a square isn't a rectangle, that sort of thing. Adventurers are character dice with characters with experience on their card. But some experienced characters aren't adventurers. They actually say on the text, this is not an adventurer. Don't count it as one. It can't be counted as an adventurer. That cannot be removed or anything like that. The cool thing about this card and the other cards with Volo in mind is that it doesn't matter if they're an adventurer or not. It just matters if they have experience or not. So he has a little bit more synergy than just a straight up normal looks for adventurer kind of a thing, which is nice. I like that. All of that to say I like it. All right, Xanathar Crime Lord, a 6-drop evil aligned mask character. He's a monster if you couldn't tell. He's got the Beholder stat line, which is a bonkers stat line. It's about right for a 6-drop, but man, when they printed it on a 4-drop, it was insane. A 043, 054, 165 stat line. It has Spark. Deal 1 damage to target opponent. So whenever you roll something on a burst phase, like Silgar, for example, you can just use this effect at the end of the phase. So Spark, deal 1 damage. Pop. Not great for a 6-drop, though, I will say that. You're kind of looking for more impact from something big like that. The stat line's pretty decent for a 6-drop, but if it just deals 1 damage whenever you roll an action, it's not great. Okay, speaking of Spark abilities that might actually be pretty good, 6-drop as well. This is Paranoid Tyrant. Same stat lines and affiliations. Spark. Until the end of the turn, you may use a global ability for free. Global ability. Pay 1. Once per turn, you may prep an NPC from your used pile. So you can pay 1 to prep 1. It's like a weaker version of... let's see what. It's like a weaker version of... I guess it's literally the printed global on Counter-Strike. I was thinking it's a weaker version of PXG, but you don't have to pay the mask for it. You can pay anything. It's kind of an interesting way to think about it. But the fact that you can pay 0 for it because you triggered the Spark ability is also pretty cool. And this allows you to do crazy things like put really expensive globals on your team, like Hella, that puts a card back onto... puts a card... a die back onto its card, either yours or your opponent's, both actually, yours and your opponent's, is just bonkers. The fact that you can just do this with Spark now. Do gross stuff with it. So this one is probably worth the 6-cost price. And the final Xanathar one I spoiled in a spoiler video, Ion Skullport, 6-drop as well, same stat lines and affiliations. When fielded, count the number of active character dice with experience your opponent controls. You may remove up to that many experience tokens from those cards, from your opponent's character cards, and then KO everything that does not have experience counters on them that have experience. So if your opponent has a bunch of dice with experience out and the cards don't have any experience counters because you use the ability, well, they're all gone. So this is sort of a board wipe in a limited setting. Not the best outside of limited settings, like outside of drafts and stuff, but still pretty cool. All right, on to the basic actions, which are the final cards in this set. We've got Create Bonfire, a basic action card that has been printed before. It has a burst face and a double burst face because all basic actions do. It's 4 cost, and it says deal 1 damage to target character or player for each different energy type, bolt, fist, mask, or shield, you have in your reserve pool. Also, on the double burst face, deal 1 additional damage if you have a question mark in energy in your reserve pool. So we've gotten this printed before. Oh, what was it called before? Create Fire... No, it's not Fireball from the Battle for Faerun. Is it Fireball from that? No. I don't recall. But this has been reprinted twice now. So this is the 3rd time. This has not been reprinted. No, maybe it has. I can't remember. I remember the art being reused for this one. Chainmail Armor. This is an equipable action, which is pretty cool. So 3 cost to get it. It has the equip keyword, so you can attach this to a character die with the equip symbol, which are like everything in this stinking set, which is kind of crazy. Equipped character gets +4 defense and cannot be affected by opposing when fielded effects. This counts as gear, and it cannot be ignored. Now, gear is sort of a subtype of actions that you will see come into play in the team packs. There are characters that look for or get a buff based on gear being attached. So keep that in mind. Not a bad basic action, not a great one, but could play heavily if you're looking to do some gear equipping. Cloak of Elvenkind, 2 cost, equip. So again, you pop this onto something. Equipped character die gains Infiltrate. If that character die has Infiltrate, it instead gains increase the damage dealt by Infiltrate by 1. It also has a global that says pay 2 masks once per turn. Target character die cannot block until the end of the turn. You just pick something that cannot block, which is pretty cool. Fun fact, target character die cannot block is a bonkers ability that was printed way back in the day. It was on a Relentless, and that was so good that they banned Relentless, and it has been banned ever since. This is not Relentless because you have to pay 2 masks for it, and it's a once per turn effect. So it's really, really nerfed. Is it worth running? Probably. I don't know. It's kind of tough to say because it is so now locked down. But the fact that it exists is kind of cool. I don't think it's been printed in that form before, but I could be wrong. I could just be misremembering. Eldritch Blast, 4 cost action. I like the artwork. The artwork fits with, I think, one of these cards that we're coming up to. We'll take a look when we get to it. Eldritch Blast, draw a die. Oh, it's from one of the team packs. Draw a die from your bag. Deal damage to target character die or player equal to its purchase cost. Return the die to your bag. This was also reprinted. This is a reprint from an old card. from the previous D&D sets as well. You could kind of combo this with some of the really cool ones. I think this was actually printed on one of the what ifs, like the Cosmic Storm, I think, had this ability as well. So it's been printed in a couple of forms and fashions. Now it's reprinted here in the new D&D set. Heavy Armor, also a reprint. 2-cost action. Oh, scratch that. No, this one. Or maybe way back in the day. Maybe this is a Battle for Faerun card. I can't remember. This also has Equip. It's a 2-cost. Equipped character dies. Printed defense is doubled. And then on the double burst, character dice engaged with the equipped character lose and cannot gain Overcrush. This die counts as gear. It cannot be ignored. Now, I was kind of hoping that like this was some sort of a static effect, so you could flip it. Because if you could print the, if you could like double the printed defense and then stat flip it, then your heavy armor becomes like a heavy like bludgeoning weapon, which is kind of cool. But this is a persistent thing. It's not like applied, so it just sticks around, which means if you flipped the defense and the attack, this is still doubling, I believe. Because it's persistent and it doesn't just apply once. So you can't stat flip this, which is sad. Would be cool if you could. Heist. This is a great card. I like the art as well. Got the drow about to steal some stuff. Target opponent draws 2 dice from their bag. Place 1 in that opponent's prep area. Roll the other die and place it in your reserve pool. And at the end of your turn, place the rolled die in your opponent's used pile, regardless of where it is. So essentially, take 2 dice from your opponent. Send one of them, like the sidekick that you pull, to your opponent's used. Roll the other one and use it. So roll their action, roll their character. Use it for the turn and then give it back to them. But don't give it back to their bag. Give it back to their used pile. Heist is a cool combo with Tabaxi Rogue. The Tabaxi Heist combo is pretty cool. And this was, oh man, what was it? This was Club Rogue. This was the Club Rogue combo named after my good friend Chris Club. Heist is back. Printed again. Shield. Basic action card. 3 cost. This one's interesting. This is not a reprint. Your character dice cannot be targeted by opposing global abilities or action dice until the beginning of your next turn. And on the double burst, you prep a die from your bag. So you just play this, and that Xanathar that your opponent wants to like taunt out just can't be. It also says pay a shield. Target character die gets +1 defense until the end of the turn. Now this one would be able to stack. So if you had like 8 shields, you gave something +1 defense, and then you flipped it. That one you could actually flip. So this one is just contingent upon shields in your reserve that you're using, and then you pay and you flip it. Yeah, that'd be interesting. You could do some stuff with that. We got Shocking Grasp, literally same art and everything. Shocking Grasp, I don't know. I didn't like Shocking Grasp when it came out originally. I wasn't a fan of it. I think because it removed a character from the field. I should read it. It's a 2-cost action. It says, deal 1 damage to target character die. If that character die is KO'd by this damage, you may put this die, aka the Shocking Grasp die, into your prep area. So this is like a backwards thrown brick. Thrown brick says, prep a die from your bag and prep thrown brick if something is not KO'd. So you get 2 dice to prep. If you use Shocking Grasp here, on your own sidekick, you prep a sidekick that was in your field, and you prep Shocking Grasp. And honestly, I don't like that. I mean, people like I guess not used to. I've heard people tell me that they really liked Shocking Grasp, that was really good. But I don't like the fact that I am KOing something that I spent time to put out in the field just to roll that sidekick as energy, and then roll Shocking Grasp again to do the same thing. It feels like, I mean, I guess you're getting the proc for an action die, like an action die is being played every time you use it, so a tune is good, but like I just don't like it otherwise. So Shocking Grasp, yeah, I guess is back. Yippee? I don't know. Wand. Now this is the sort of thing that I want to see from a D&D set. I want them to print like weapons and stuff. I think this is super cool. Wand is a basic action card that is also an equipable thing. It's a 3-cost. It's got the equip keyword. It says equipped character die has spark. Deal 1 damage to target opponent. And don't forget, spark is triggered whenever you roll a burst or double burst face on a die. So that's pretty cool. Then check this out. Global, pay a bolt. Deal 1 damage to target character die and then lose 1 life. So this is like their way of reprinting the Magic Missile Global, but in a way that hurts you for using it in like extreme situations or over and over and over again. I think that's super cool card design. Kudos to whoever had that idea. Let's reprint Magic Missile and then make it to where it pops you for 1 because you tried to use it multiple times. I think that's neat. The final card in the entirety of the set for this campaign box. Wild Magic, basic action card, 4 cost. Choose 2 of the other basic action cards that players brought this game. You may use a copy of each of their effects with a burst. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. So you buy this, and it basically becomes a wild card. You can use the one that you brought and one of your opponent's triggers as well every time you play this. And you get the burst off of it, so there's combos with that as well. I think this card is super cool. Someone is going to sit down and do something with this card. Maybe it's you, dear watcher. Maybe you're going to sit down and figure something out with this. But this is amazing, and I want someone to figure something out with that. So that concludes the entirety of the contents of the campaign box, the Trouble in Waterdeep campaign box. Ugh. Again, this MSRP is going to be like $40 for everything that we saw here. I like that they changed the distribution back to the old 3 for everything thing. I think that makes things a little nicer for everyone involved. I'm a fan of that. You're getting your money's worth when it comes to this. If you want to buy a second box, they usually go a little bit more on sale after a couple months. So you can buy this one. You have enough dice to play all this stuff. I mean, you may want more God Catchers, you may want more Drunkards, but you're pretty good on all this stuff. So if you wanted to buy one down the line, help yourself. Let's move on. I want to open this one. I'm going to get this in the screen there. There we go. How's everyone doing so far? Are the actions have a black? So the action dice are white. No, the action dice are not black. They printed the black action dice in the Justice set, but you are getting, excuse me while I reposition. You are getting black sidekick dice, but not the black action dice. No, I don't know why they did that. They just did. So it would be cooler if they did the black action dice as well. But you know, it is what it is, right? All right, this is the Zentarum Dice Masters team pack. This is sort of like a companion piece to the campaign box that we looked at. This comes with 24 cards, 16 dice, so 2 dice per card in here, or per character, I should say, in here. This one, I believe, only has character dice or character cards, doesn't have any actions in it. This usually retails for like $12, I think. Let's see if it says it on there. No, it probably does. I'm just not looking at it. Either way, this is gonna hit store shelves around November, in that November month, maybe early November. I'm not sure, but it's definitely available coming soon, which is pretty exciting. We're almost in October now, so you only got about a couple weeks, up to a month to wait for it. Let's open this thing up, see what the contents appear to look like. I will say this. I saw these cards, I don't know, a month and a half ago, and when I first saw them, I thought to myself, man, I'm more excited about the other cards from the other things. These ones are okay, I guess. And then I looked at them more and more, and the more I looked at them, the more I went, man, these cards are actually pretty solid. And I've liked them more and more, so I'm excited to look at them yet again and think to myself, man, these cards are pretty solid. The 4 colors in the good question. The 4 colors in the campaign box are orange, pink, dark green, and navy blue. And they look nice. They went with dark basic action colors so that they could print it on white, I guess. They printed on white because they went with dark. Perhaps it was that way. All right, let's take a look. 24 cards in the Zentarum team pack. The Zentarum, they're kind of bad guys, so you're going to see some bad guys here. Starting with Davil Star Song, the Elf to Know. Does it have dots? No. The Elf to Know, a 4-cost shield character, the evil alignment, the equip symbol, the Zentarum banner, an 034, 134, 245 stat line. It's kind of interesting that you have an 034 and a 134 version. So the stat line does not improve. You just have to pay more to field it from 1 to 2. It says, while Davil Star Song is active, when you field a character die, draw a die. If it is the same character die, field it on the same face. Otherwise, place it in your used pile. This is a really cool card, especially with something like a fish team that uses Atlantis and fields the same character, Wong, or Black Widow. The fact that you can use this in conjunction with those makes those teams a little bit more consistent because you don't have to roll those dice anymore. You just have to pull them. Now, this is a 4-drop in that setup. You probably already don't need it, so this might just be a win more card, but the fact that it exists is kind of interesting, and I like it. This could make it more of a casual team that you just try to get more consistency from, but you know it may still just show up to be like insane. Plus, this is probably pretty good in limited formats where you're pulling things like swarm characters. Be pretty good. Davil Star Song Taproom Negotiator, also a 4-drop, same stat line and affiliation. While he's active, if you draw 2 or more non-sidekick character dice during your clear and draw step, draw an additional die. So this is like similar to Swarm in the sense that it's looking for you to draw non-sidekick character dice or something specific. But the fact that it just does it off of anything makes this really flexible. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't really have much else going for it. It's got 1 affiliation, which is the banner. The stat line is fine for a 4-drop. It's not great. But the fact that it's possible to use with just about any kind of characters, or really with any kind of characters, because it's just looking to proc off of 2 character dice drawn at the same time during that clear and draw step, means this has some potential, particularly in those limited formats. Finally, of Davil Star Song, we have, oh my gosh, Master of Opportunities and Negotiations. Also a 4-drop, so all of them are 4-drops. All of them are max 4, by the way, so you can just buy 2 team packs, you're good. While he's active, your character dice with active character dice are free to field. So as long as you get one thing out, if you want to field a second one, you don't have to pay anything for it. This combos really well with another upcoming card that we spoiled and then saw in the preview draft, the Ghost Rider, the common Ghost Rider from the upcoming Infinity Gauntlet set that has that 1, 2, 3 fielding costs. You don't have to pay any of that with this card. You just have to buy and field this guy, which is pretty cool. Doppelganger is making its return. The die is slightly more purple this time, which is interesting. Well, I just dropped it. Ran off. Put it back. Doppelganger Monstrosity, a 3-cost version. It's got the same affiliations, the same stat line as before as well. It's a mask character. It's an 011, 122, 133 stat line. It says, Doppelganger gets +1/+1 for each of your other unique active character dice that you control. So this, if you have a sidekick, this is an 022, 133, 144 for 3. Not bad, but not great. If you have a sidekick and any other character, because it doesn't count itself, this is a 3/3, a 4/4, and a 5/5. That's pretty good for 3. Let's say you've got 3 characters in the field and a sidekick, so that means this would get +4/+4, which is bonkers. This would be a 5/5, a 6/6, and a 7/7 for 3. This is secretly a draft winner. Like, a straight up. Pick this up in draft, buy 2 of them, field some other characters alongside of it, and then you just have like 7/7s that you're just throwing at your opponent constantly, and they just can't keep up the blocks, and you're just going to win. This is a draft winner, so keep your eye on that card. Doppelganger Shape Changer, 3-cost as well. Same stat lines and affiliations. This one has Spark. Doppelganger gets +1/+1 until the end of the turn. This one's not as good, obviously, because it's just not going to keep getting that Spark trigger. You could get I mean, what's your best case scenario? 2 spark triggers on a turn. So that's like, actually, I think the way that spark works, it's only going to trigger at the end of the main step or the end of the roll and reroll step. So maybe you could get two triggers, one in the roll and reroll, one in the main step. So at best, you're getting a 5/5. So this is not nearly as good. Take the other one if you see it in draft. Take the other one if you see it in, some weird format that you're playing with your friends. Or just put the other one on your team because you can just jam a bunch of 7/7s. Pretty good. The last one, Doppelganger Thought Reader. Also a 3-drop, same stat line and affiliation. While he's active, when an opposing character gains experience tokens, or an experience token, he gains an experience token, which is pretty cool. So let's think. If your opponent gains 2 experience tokens with 2 different character dice active at the end of their turn, he would get 2 experience tokens as well, I think. This is an interesting counterplay card in a draft or in a limited format or in a D&D only, but I wouldn't play it outside of that, obviously. Hitch, Human Rogue, 3-cost mask character. This is a good guy, so it's got the good alignment, the equip symbol, and the Force Grey keyword, the Force Grey banner. It's got the Elf Thief stat line, the Halfling Thief stat line, the Tabaxi Rogue stat line, whatever you want to call it. It's got 2 burst faces, by the way. It's got the 1/1/1 stat line on the level 1 face with a burst. It's got the 1/2/2 with a burst, and then it's got the 1/3/3. So you're always paying to field it. This one has experience, and it says, when he deals combat damage to an opponent, you may move target NPC die in your used to your reserve pool on an energy face, on any energy face. So he plays similarly to the old school Elf Thief in that you're getting a die on your on an energy face in your reserve pool, but there's much different sort of circumstances surrounding it. This card's okay, in my opinion. You have to push it through to get the trigger, and oftentimes that's just not going to happen, or you're not going to care to, because it's such a low attack. Hitch, Shady Past, also a 3-drop mask character, same stat lines, affiliations, and alignments. Experience. While Hitch is active, adventurers cost 1 less to purchase and to field. So if you look back at the Volo, that Volo that was a 2-drop that has experience, well, all of a sudden now it's a 1-drop. And it's obviously already free to field, but the fact that this just allows this guy to be free to field as well, once he's out there, you can field multiples of these. So you put this 3-drop with that 2-drop Volo, you buy up all of them, and you field all of them, and you just get a giant Volos. That sounds awkward, so we're going to move on. Giant Volos. 4-drop. Roguish Charm, 4-drop mask character, has experience and obscure. Obscure is solid. I highly recommend checking out Obscure because that ability is sick. Now I will say this: if it has experience, it's not going to be in the field at the end of the turn if you push it with Obscure, because obviously it would go to the used pile through the out of play during your turn. So it's not sitting out there to collect more experience if you've somehow KO'd something. The fact that it's also unblockable means it's not engaging with a monster. So you have to kind of work around. But the fact that you've got this 4-drop that can just go unblockable and gain experience tokens, pretty decent. This was the art, by the way, that they took Eldritch Blast from. Look, there it is. Eldritch Blast right there. They just had a little bit more right there. The little something was getting shot. I forgot what it was. Human Warlock, Seeking Hidden Knowledge, 4-drop mask character. It's a good alignment with the, I forgot what that banner is, and and the equip symbol. This also has experience and obscure, so you could run 2 of them. The stat line on Human Warlock is an 012, 014, 125 stat line. Hitch also has experience and obscure, as you see there, so you can pick your poison. You can also change up the affiliation, the banner. Yeah, the affiliation banner as well, if you prefer one or the other. You don't have to pay as much to field here, and the stat line is markedly better, especially if you want to flip it. Human Warlock, Pact of the Tome. This is a 3-drop version, so it's a little different in that sense, and it also has a different banner. I forgot the names of those banners, though. 012, 014, 125 stat line. Also experience, and this one says Spark. Deal 1 damage to target opponent. So as long as you can trigger that Spark off of rolling a character or an action face on the burst, then you just get to deal 1 for the low price of nothing. Well, I guess if you consider investing the money it takes into getting whatever die you're rolling. But after that, I mean, you just get to pop your opponent for free. Pretty good. Human Warlock, Delver of Secrets, 3-cost mask character. Got the good alignment, got the banner that I can't remember. And then it has experience along with, while Human Warlock is active, basic action dice cost 1 less to purchase to a minimum of 1. So this is the old school elf, elf wizard, where it just sat out there and makes things cost 1 less to purchase. So all of those, you get this out there. There's a 3-drop, so it's pretty easy to get out there. You get this out there, and all those thrown bricks are 1. All of those investigations are 2. Your not confront the mighty. I guess you can get confront the mighty for 1. Your what's that 4-drop that like spins all your stuff up? It's 3. It's pretty good. So this has a really cool effect. The fact that it's persistent, it's a while active ability, is a really solid effect. All right, Istrid Horn time. Istrid Horn Debt Collector. This is one that after I looked at it more and more, I just keep going, man, this character is pretty cool. 2-cost, Fist character, Evil, Alignment, Equip, and Zentarum Banner. The 012, 022, 132 stat lines are pretty good for a 2-drop. It's got experience, so even better. And when fielded, move target energy die in your opponent's reserve pool to their used pile. So anything that they're floating, they just don't get to float anymore, as long as you field this on that turn. Not a bad one, particularly in limited. Istrid Horn, Moneylender, 2-drop, Fist character. Same stat lines, affiliations, and alignments. Experience, when fielded, you may choose a global ability. If you do, it cannot be used this turn, and any of its effects immediately end. So basically, they've taken this 2-drop decent body, they've added experience, and then they've given it not the slander, what was I going to say? They've given it the nefarious broadcast ability, which is pretty solid. Now, you'd have to get this out of the field to be able to use it again next turn, whereas the action, you use it, you fire and forget, it goes into your use pile, you can cycle it that way, but the fact that you're getting all of the effects and a 3-2 on top is something to remember. It's a good card. It's a good effect as well. And it targets one single thing, which is cool. Istrid Horn, Mind for the Money. I added this card to a recent combo breakdown video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's pretty cool. 2-cost Fist character. Experience. While Istrid Horn is active, your opponent's NPC dice cost 1 more to field. That is just so stupid. Man. Make my opponent's stuff cost... Man, their sidekicks cost 1 now? Ugh. I would hate to play against this card. This card, man, this card can just, like, not be against me. Because I love fielding sidekicks, and making them cost 1 to field sucks. That card's really good. Pick that up in draft, and everyone will hate you. You'll probably win, too. Mansion, Extra Dimensional Mansion. Yeah, it says Mansion. This card, or this character, this is one of those that grew on me as well. So this is a 3-cost Bolt character, Zentarum, Evil, Equipable, 002, 013, 124 stat line. They used it on the Elf Druid? No, sorry. The Elf Wizard, and they used it on the Dwarf Wizard. There it is. And they used the dice face on the Dwarf Wizard and the Elf Wizard as well. Experience and then Spark. Gain an experience token. Now this is where it gets interesting. He does not count as an adventurer even though he has the experience keyword. That's normally the sort of moniker of what an adventurer is. It has the experience keyword, but here they've just kind of gone against that. So he just gets experience tokens without being an adventurer. Also the fact that he can just feed himself by rolling actions or characters on burst faces is super solid. I like that a lot. You don't have to jump through as many hoops, or it's a different hoop to jump through, I guess. Mansion Clone Wizard, 4-drop version, same stat line and affiliation. Experience. While he is active, when you use a basic action die, deal 1 damage to all opposing character dice. and he does not count as an adventurer yet again. So just use your actions, ping off your opponent's board over and over and over again. This is worth paying for, as well as getting experience if they have monsters. That's all around really good. The third, Manshun, is a 4-drop bolt character as well. Rekindling the Zentarum. It's got the same stat lines and affiliations, and it says experience. And then while it is active, when you use a global ability, deal 1 damage to a target opposing character die. So not as much effect as using the action die to ping out your opponent's board, but the fact that you can just pop a sidekick when you use a global is pretty cool. And if you use multiple globals, you can just keep popping stuff. More interestingly, you could pay a bolt to magic missile global something, and then also hit it with Manshun's ability, so you can pop things off double time, or for, I guess, half the cost, as just using 2 magic missiles. That one is one to look out for. Tashlin Yafira, Master of Arms, 3-cost fist character. This is another one that kind of grew on me. She's neutral and she's Zentarum. 021, 022, 133 experience. When fielded, you may purchase a basic action die with gear for 1. So that makes you go and look back at all of the basic actions that are gear and go, that is really solid. There's a lot of, sorry, it's not even basic actions, it's just action die with gear for 1. There's a lot of really solid action dice with gear. Some of them are basic actions. Some of them are from the old Golden Age D&D first set, Battle for Faerun. The fact that you can get them for 1 is sick. Also sick is this one. This is the Black Network. She is neutral still. She's 3-cost fists still, same everything else. Experience, and then while she's active, equipped character dice, including herself if you want to equip her. Get +2/+2. Man, for some reason, I just, like, when I read both of these cards, I just, like, hoped and wished that they just mashed them together. Like, make them 1 to purchase and give them the buff. That would be so sweet. But, you know what? You can't have it all. I would have even taken that as like a 5-drop. That would have been sweet. The final one, Sword, Axe, Dagger, Boot Dagger. It's pretty hilarious. 4-cost fist character. Same stat line affiliation, all that. Experience. Tashlin Yafira gets +1/+1 for each active adventurer you control. Now, she is an adventurer, and there is a bunch of other adventurers. I believe this is looking at not the character die. I think it's just looking at the character itself. But I could be wrong. If it's looking at the character die, this is bonkers. If it's looking at the character itself, it's okay. It's pretty good in Limited. And you can build around this, obviously. In Modern, you just slap a bunch of adventurers on the team. But it would get insane stats if it's looking for adventurer character die. But as it's worded, I would imagine it would just be looking for the adventurer itself, not the character die. The final card, or the final character in the Zentarum team pack is Ziraj, the Hunter. A 3-cost fist character. He is evil. He is Zentarum. He's got the 013, 124, 125 stat line, the human paladin stat line from old school days. Experience, when he attacks, target character die must block Ziraj. So he just taunts things out towards him. And obviously, at the very bottom, it's got that same text, the canned text of he doesn't count as an adventurer. So this one's pretty cool. If they have it's a hunter, right? So if they have a monster, he can just hunt it down, gain the experience, farm it off the monsters that your opponent has. I like that a lot. And it's a 3-drop too. Really, really good. I once played in an old school Battle for Faerun and Faerun Under Siege D&D only tournament, and things like that were extremely strong. 4-cost fist character version. This is half-orc assassin. Same stat lines, affiliations. He's just a 4-drop. He has experience, and then when he is blocked, prep a die from your bag. If he has 2 or more experience tokens, prep an additional die. So that's really cool as well. Just block when he gets pushed, or when he pushes and then gets blocked, you just prep stuff. And then if you've somehow managed to get more experience on him, prep more stuff. Pretty cool. Not the greatest, but pretty cool. Finally, final card of the box, Ziraj, Hail of Black Arrows. 4-cost fist as well, same everything else. If he attacks and KOs an opposing character die, You may deal its damage to equal to you may you may deal its damage equal to its attack to target character die. So essentially, the character that you attack and KO gets to deal its attack to something else, which is pretty neat. Now, it does have experience as well, so you could somehow use this effect to pop off some monster that they don't block with, that they had just sitting out in the field if Ziraj attacks and KOs it. So a pretty cool one to round out the set. I'm a fan of this team pack, and I really like Tashlin and Manshoon and Istrid Horn and even the Human Warlock. One of the Hitches, the Doppelganger that I said was really good. Yeah, this is a good team pack, a solid team pack. Would I want to buy 2 of these? That's the question. For, $13 like they usually run, something around that, I could maybe see myself running 3 ofs. Let me see. Let's see. I don't think I would run maybe 3 Istrids for the experienced ones. But no, I mean, I'm pretty content with just one, maybe 3 Doppelgangers. I would run that, but I'm pretty content with just one of these team packs. Like, they made some great cards in it, but none of these I really want to rush out and have like 4 dice per. Now, you might be a completionist, like several of my friends are, and you may just say, oh, yeah, I'm just going to grab 2 and just be done with it. And if you do, you would not be worse for it, because this is a solid team pack. I highly recommend it going forward. Now, let's take a look at the final team pack. Adventures in Waterdeep. Let's hurry and take a look before my throat goes out. I spent my whole day packing. If you could see next to me, look, I'll let you see. Check it out. There's just boxes. Boxes on boxes. I'm going to be moving to a house pretty soon. And there's tons of boxes. So I spent my whole day packing. And now I'm opening some D&D Dice Master stuff. All right, let's get this last one. My voice. I'm feeling it. I am feeling it. This one has an interesting action in it. This is the Adventures in Waterdeep team pack. This is meant to be sort of a tag along with the campaign box and the other team pack. This one's got some interesting cards as well. As you can see, it has an action as well. So let's crack this one open. Comes with 24 cards, 16 dice. Retails for somewhere around like $13, 12, 13, maybe 14, depending on where you get it. I can't seem to open it. I like the packaging they've always done on these team packs. I think it's pretty cool. I like team packs in general. I like the idea of it, of just being able to sort of make extended cards. Sets, I guess I should say, extended card sets for existing sets, that sort of thing. Some extended support. You can just kind of, the idea being that you could print like, I don't know, spider affiliated characters to up the spider affiliation, that sort of thing. I think that's a really cool thing. We haven't seen them do a ton of that sort of thing, but I guess they technically have. They've printed a Spider-Man affiliated set, and it was really good. Shriek, at least. So they've done some of that. I'd like to see them do even more with it. Let's take a look at the cards, shall we? Black Viper, scaring nobles, stealing jewels. 4-cost mask, neutral, can be equipped. A 1/3/3 2/3/4 2/4/4 stat line. It has a fine stat line. You have to pay a ton to field it though. And then it says when Black Viper attacks and is unblocked, KO target opposing character die after combat damage resolves. So if this goes through unblocked, it just gets to pop anything it wants. Just target opposing character die. So a 4-drop that essentially hits your opponent for 4 if you can play it alongside of something that makes it unblockable, and KO something, is super solid. And it can be equipped. Don't forget, equipping is a thing. Also a 4-drop, Notorious Bandit. 4-drop mask character. Infiltrate. When it is active, or while Black Viper is active, character dice you control deal an additional damage with Infiltrate. Not just itself, but it does hit itself. It could also hit lots of other things, like all these other Infiltrate characters in the campaign box. So this is an example of one of those instances where they use a team pack card to buff some stuff in the campaign box. So you can grab this one and make those Infiltrate characters even better. Not a bad standalone card either. And finally, for Black Viper, Reviving a legend, 4-drop mask, same stat lines and affiliations. When fielded, choose target character with infiltrate. It cannot be blocked. So essentially, if you've got cards that, like for example, this Black Viper, if you had some other card like this that got some benefit from being unblocked, or infiltrate characters that you wanted to do something special with, well, then this one just makes it to where that cannot be blocked. The first thing that comes to mind is Cable Body Slide, right? Isn't that the one that has the infiltrate, and then you up the infiltrate damage based on other things that attacked with it? Well, you could attack with this one and that infiltrate character. That Cable would be unblocked, and it would just deal like 2, 3, or 4 and stay in the field. This is a pretty cool combo. Brawlwind Chain Miner. It's a weird thing to read off a screen. Hitch's Friend, a 3-drop fist character, good alignment, equipable, I should say, and the Force Gray banner affiliation. 021, 022, 133 stat line with experience. Brawlwind gets +3 attack when blocking or when blocked by a character dice with 4 attack or more. So essentially, this is a 5-1, a 5-2, or a 6-3 if it's blocked or is blocking a 4 attack character die. So that has some flexibility and utility. That's a pretty decent pickup in something like a draft. Limited. Brawlwind Chain Miner, Longing for Adventure, a 3-cost fist character, good affiliate or good alignment. It's got that same sort of stuff that we saw before, same stat line, same affiliations. Experience, when Brawlwind KOs a character die of equal or higher level, draw 2 dice from your bag and prep any non-NPC dice you draw. Place the rest in your used. So this either ramps you some good dice, or it churns your bad dice. So solid, right? Also, has a global. It says pay 1, spin target opposing character die up 1 level. It's kind of weird to be able to spin your opponent's stuff up a level, but I guess you could want that for like getting things off of burst faces, that sort of thing. Kind of an old school global. We saw that really useful back in the day, but not as useful nowadays. Long Line of Giant Slayers, also 3-drop, got the same stat lines, affiliations. This one says experience, and then when an opposing character of level 2 or higher is KO'd, Brawlwind gains an experience token. So it doesn't even have to be a monster. It can just be anything that's level 2 or higher. So just not sidekicks. It just gets experience. This one is one to keep your eye out for because it doesn't have to jump through the hoop of being a monster. Oh, Jarlaxle. Here we go. What's up, Jarlaxle? Drow Swashbuckler, 5-drop shield character, neutral, monster, equipable. 025, 135, 146 pirate stat line. Doesn't have the pirate. It's not a pirate, unfortunately. Spark. Search your bag for a die and prep it. This is tutoring whatever die you want. As long as you get this out and then Spark, you just prep whatever you want, which is really cool. You just prep an action die. Get this out and prep a Godcatcher token. Not a bad way to get more Godcatcher tokens. Pretty cool. Jarlaxle Treasure Hunter, also a 5-drop shield character, same stat lines, affiliations, and alignments. When fielded, you may search your bag for up to 4 non-NPC character dice and prep them. During your next clear and draw step, draw 1 less die for each die prepped this way. So essentially, when you field this, you can set up whatever you want to roll next turn, up to 4 dice, and they have to be non-NPC character dice. So, but you just pick out, like, go into your bag and pick out your 4 favorite character dice or action dice. Oh no, just character dice. 4 favorite character dice and just jam them up. It's pretty cool. And it's funny though, he's a treasure hunter, and yet he can't search up like treasure. He just searches up like adventurers to go get him treasure. And then the I think everyone's favorite one, Jarlaxle Shameless Flirt, 6-drop shield character. All the same affiliations and stat lines. When fielded, you may remove all NPC dice in your used pile from the game. Return them to your used pile when he leaves the field zone. So if you don't like sidekicks getting in your way, well, that's okay. Just make sure there's a bunch in your used pile and then field this. Do you ever Do you ever think you might need that ability? I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But at the same time, the fact that you can just do it is pretty hilarious now that it's in the game. People have been asking for that. I've been asking for that for like years. The fact that it's there, exists, is pretty hyped. Dagny, Gizmos and Gadgets. 3-cost shield character. He's good. He's equipable. He's the Force Grey banner. An 013, 014, 125 stat line. He has the old dwarf cleric symbol. He's got experience, and he says, Spark, gain 1 life. You can only use this ability once per turn. That's such a bummer, man. Let us gain like 8 life a turn. Make these games last for like 48 minutes a game, or something crazy. But that's the reason life gain isn't a thing. I get it, but still. Dagny, surviving on wits, 5-drop shield character, same affiliations, experience. It's not great for a 5-drop, that stat line. While he's active at the beginning of your turn, if your opponent has more life than you gain 1 life and your opponent loses 1 life. This is the old school, Harley Quinn, right? Harley Quinn did this. And it was pretty good. I think she was a 4-drop, though. Being a 5-drop, this doesn't have as much utility. But you throw it out there, and they can't really prevent it, which is pretty neat. I guess that one was strictly better because it was 4-drop, and it just triggered if you had villains or something like that. Whereas this stops if you have more life than them, or equal life, right? 20 and 20. 3-drop version of Dagny, Cleric of Gond. Same stat line and affiliation. While he's active, when 2 or more of your character dice are KO'd during a turn, gain 1 life. It's just like, I guess that's cool, but the payoff of gain a life is just not good. It's just not good. Durnan, though, maybe he's good. Proprietor of the Yawning Portal. 5-drop fist character. Neutral. Equipable. A 133, 243, 254 stat line. When he blocks, all attacking and blocking character dice deal no combat damage to opposing character dice this turn, other than Durnan and the die he is blocking. Okay. He's a really good blocker. I'll just put it that way. He's a really good blocker. He will make games stall out, which is hilarious. You just need one of him, and he can just make games. He's a 5-drop himself, so you do have to invest in him, which is saying a lot. But once you've done that, you're getting a significant, net 4, which isn't too bad. He just gives you a solid discount for adventurers. So this is a good card, a very good card, I would say, particularly for the stuff that's in this set. Durnan, retired adventurer, 4-cost fist character. While he's active, your adventurers gain an experience token when they are fielded. So the fact that they just get to plop down and have an experience token is extremely good. The only downside to Durnan's period is that fielding cost, because you do have to pay to field him. But this one is definitely another one to keep your eye out on. I like this card as well. On to some cards I don't like. Here we go. Stone of Golor, Transformed Aboleth. 3-cost mask action, I should say. It is an evil aligned action. And it says, draw a die from your bag. Character dice matching that die cannot be blocked this turn. Place the die in your used pile. This is like the only... So I think there's a couple of these, right? 2? 3. There's 3 of these. I think this is the only one that I actually kind of like. You prep it instead of putting it in your used pile as well. So this is good with, I don't know, Yuan-Ti, but it would already be unblockable. It's good with just anything that you can get 3 of. I guess this is good alongside of some adventurers after they've been experienced up, and you can just high roll and pull this from your bag. With this, pull an adventurer, and they just go through unblocked. That would be kind of cool. I guess I could see myself slamming this onto that 2-drop, 3-drop combo team with adventurers. Huh. I could see that. That'd be really interesting. Because you just buy up all of those, and those just become unblockable. Yeah, I like that one. Definitely like that one. The other ones, I don't think I liked them. Stone of Golor, Memory Modifier, 5-drop. You gotta pay 5 for this. It better be a good action ability. Draw a die from your bag. Deal damage to target opponent equal to that die's purchase cost. Place that die in your used pile. Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. Dude, I get the idea of printing variety, but like you're printing a strictly worse version of Eldritch Blast. This one is one less and it can hit a character die. It's like, what? Come on, man. Come on, man. That card's bad. Just like put that one aside. That can be a coaster. That's an F card right there. Don't play it. Stone of Golor, wondrous item, 4-cost mask action. Draw a die from your bag. You may purchase a copy of that die for 2 and prep it. Place the drawn die in your used pile, and if you hit the double burst, and you prep it. I would play this and try to high roll for fun, and then I would put this card away because it's bad. But I would try to hit it and like get like a 6-drop or something. You've got to buy this plus a 6-drop, which is just stupid. So this card's not very good, but I could see it maybe in limited. You just like pick this up in draft and just kind of hope. But it's an action, so I don't know. All right, on to Vadra. There it is. Black Staff of Waterdeep, 3-cost bolt character, neutral, equipped symbol. I guess that other guy that takes your sidekicks out and makes this a bit of a thoughtful, yeah. I could see that, but still, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. This card, however, I am a fan of. All of these character cards I'm a fan of right here. 002, 002, 013, 124 stat line. She's got experience, and she says Spark. You add an experience token to another adventurer. This is sick. I love this one. This is super good. You just play this on your adventurer team, and you just get free experience tokens. Any way to give your stuff a permanent +1/+1 buff is just super dangerous in casual, because it really does snowball so fast. It's hard to stack that one up against this one, though. This is activating the walking statues. I spoiled this in a video. 4-cost bolt character, same stat lines and affiliations. This has experience. It also has attune, and it also has spark. Deal 1 damage to target opponent or opposing character die. So if you rolled, you know, like I guess the magic missile action on a burst face, magic missile could deal 2 to your opponent, attune could deal 1 to your opponent, and spark could deal 1 to your opponent. That's a 4-cost play, or 4 damage play. This card's super cool, and the fact that it has experience and attune and spark means you can farm like 2 defense monsters for experience. Really good card. Vadra, commander of Force Grey. Look, she's Force Grey affiliated. 3-cost bolt character. Experience while she's active. When you field an adventurer, oops, misprint. When you field and adventurer, deal 1 damage to target opponent. I would run this one on the that same team as well. This is super cool. Man, I didn't... So the disparate parts of the team, I had seen them all, but now I'm reading them all back to back to back to back to back. I'm like, oh, you could do something with that. All cheap adventurers, all getting slightly bigger each time. You make a bigger and bigger man. That's so cool. Spark is triggered when you roll a burst. That is correct. Spark, the spark keyword, is triggered when you roll a burst or double burst face on a die. And finally, the reason you're going to be buying the set, if not for those other cards, which are awesome, that was a weird way to say that, which are awesome, is Yawning Portal. Adventurous Clientele, 2-drop bolt action. Your character dice are free to field this turn. When you field a non-NPC character die, prep a die from your bag. So this is a pretty solid little thing there. When you field a non-NPC character die, you get to prep, and then they're free to field this turn. So you can kind of do some stuff with this. Unfortunately, you can't like use this and use the what do you call it? The Professor X Global. You can't use this with Professor X Global, but you can use this as is and field something, and that's kind of nice. That being said, it's not the best of the Yawning Portals. So let's look at the next one. 3-cost Yawning Portal, accessing the Undermountain. Your character dice are free to field this turn. When you field a non-NPC character die, prep a die from your used pile. So now all of a sudden, we've gone from 2 to 3, and we can prep something from used, not just from our bag. And we just get to pick. So this is solid. You just get to pick what you want to prep, and it's every time you field a non-NPC. So prep over something, prep over something, prep over something. Pretty good. And then finally, if you enjoyed that other 2-drop, but you wanted something just a little bit more totally broken, you've got this 2-drop Yawning Portal Comfortable Inn. Your character dice are free to field this turn until the end of the turn. Each time you field a character dice, it doesn't even say a non-NPC, just any character die. Reduce the purchase cost of your dice by 1 to a minimum of 1, and then anything you purchase added to the bag. So this is a combination of Save Civilians and a combination of Bifrost and a combination of Big Entrance. So essentially, I have free to field character dice. Oh, I guess it's that that action that they put in the whatever box that was. It was the most recent one, the X-Men box, right? So my character dice are free to field. If I field a sidekick, I can reduce. I can use Big Entrance basically and just plop it down. And every time I field another character, I get another proc of that, which is so stupid. This card is so cool. Oh my god. And it's a max 4. You're probably just going to need 2 of them, honestly. Like, when it comes down to it, you probably only need 2 of them. You just roll them out there. Oh, good. Look. Both of my dice are solid. Yay. They both rolled double bursts, or the burst sides. Let's see. Let's go again. Oh, at least they rolled the two bolts. We didn't get a bad result. Oh, maybe they aren't solid. Maybe I'm not. Oh, okay, good. They're average. Cool. So you probably only need 2 dice for those. And other characters, I don't know. I'm really starting to think you might want, and not in here. You don't really care about the Brawlwyn Chainmailer for the Chain Miner, for the Adventurer team in my head at least. But maybe the Vadra. Nah, you can get away because it's a while active. I'm just saying, man, that's a team. You could do something with that. All in all, man, this whole set. So you've got the campaign box, which is on my floor. You've got the Zentarum team pack. You've got the Adventures in Waterdeep team pack. This whole set is looking really cool. There's tons of synergy. There's tons of flavor. Yeah, this is a good one. Go and grab this set when it comes out. Play with it a ton. It's got old school synergy with the old school D&D stuff. It's got new school synergy with itself. It's got some options in the modern and the golden age constructed formats. This is a solid one. Highly recommend this stuff. I've been excited to show you guys these cards and to talk about these cards. I'm excited to make stuff with these cards, teams, and then to play them. Expect me to make a couple of gameplay videos coming up pretty soon because I want to jam a couple of these things that I've been floating around ideas with in my head, particularly things like Yawning Portal and Godcatcher. Gotta rep some of those things out there. So thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. Hope you had a good time. Oh, you pre-ordered during the stream. That's the way to do it. Tell WizKids, everybody. Tell WizKids that you pre-ordered during the stream because you saw how hyped this was. Give me some love. Also, keep an eye out for, I've had a Patreon for like a year and a half, I think. No, about a year. I've never done anything with Patreon, but I've seen everybody do things with Patreon, and I love the interaction that it's given them, like with their communities. And I've had like 3 or 4 people over the past 2 months ask about a Patreon for me. So keep an eye out for that. I have one set up, and I may be plugging that pretty soon. If you're interested in supporting the channel, and not just in monetary ways, it's the way that I have it set up now. Anybody that does join as a patron for the Patreon for the DM Armada channel will be able to do some really cool things, I'm hoping, with regards to content creation on the channel. because I always picture this being a community channel, and so I kind of want to push that community aspect of it, like I've done in the past. So keep an eye out for that as well. If you enjoyed this, drop a comment or a a like or whatever, a subscribe. People say that still, right? They say stuff like that. Drop that in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button. Do all those things that people do. As always, everybody, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go get some water and hope that my throat recovers. Because who knows, man? Who knows? See you later.